Hello and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom with Will, a series of conversations we have with Will Poole, co-founder Capria Ventures, who's also our AI evangelist in chief. Welcome, Will.
Good to be here.
This time I want to focus on jobs. We've had conversations around AI and the implication of jobs earlier, but we can't stop because it's constantly evolving. The AI market is supposed to be 19.9 billion, or trillion, sorry, by 2030. But you've always argued, Will, that AI is about augmenting productivity and employment, and not necessarily replacing jobs. But in the context of agentic AI, and that's another 47 billion going to be added to the market in 2030. What does this all really mean? Can you simplify what it means for agentic AI/AI augmenting productivity and us as employees?
Well, as you know, Sandhya, I'm not willing to pretend I have a massively better crystal ball than anybody else. And anybody that claims that they really know the answer to your question is, frankly, I think, confused. But I'll give you a few of my current views. First of all, the agentic push for this year, which really started last year from an investment perspective, but now starting to roll out to companies, is truly profound. In the sense that we can actually literally start to think about managers managing people who are people, and also managing AIs who are agents, and having them sitting literally side by side in a Zoom conference, but figuratively side by side, and each of them accomplishing work. That was not remotely possible even a year ago today. So that's changing things in many ways. It's changing how a manager has to think about growing their company, because they have to grow not just people, but people who can work alongside of and manage agents, right? AIs who are capable of doing things. It means that people that are building technology that can empower, they can create these agents that can make an agent that's better, because frankly, right, labor is a competitive market. And so if I'm an AI provider for agents, and I can make a smarter agent at X than you do, then I'm going to get more of my agents employed than you are, right? So from an entrepreneurial perspective, this is going to create an arms race to create the best AI agents, the best AI employees. And at the same time, for those who are hiring people to get stuff done, they're going to be in a market for not only interviewing people, but also effectively interviewing agents. And so this is a world that nobody's ever has come close to experiencing before. And I think it creates great entrepreneurial opportunity, which is obviously part of the core of our thesis for investing, not just in India, but around the world, around the future of work. Who are the founders that are figuring this out, figuring out how to create better AI agents, better ways of managing humans and AI agents in a hybrid environment, who are figuring out how to create opportunity in this new world of work. So that's from the founder perspective. I think that the opportunities are nascent and growing fast. From a management perspective, I think we've only just scratched the surface of how hard this is going to be, of managing both humans and technology agents at the same time.
Conversations around really talent, the availability of talent, and especially in emerging markets. It takes do we have enough of talent? B, if we don't, how are we creating that level of talent? Do we have enough data sets to be trained on? All of those conversations suggest that we've kind of made our peace that this is the world we're going to live in, to the next level of conversations to what now do we do about it? And Will, how should we be thinking about it in emerging markets?
There's some good things happening. and I'll just call this the sort of democratization of capability that comes with AI. And we've talked about this over the years again, because AI is going to be lifting up people. It's anybody that chooses to learn, anybody that chooses to embrace what's here, is going to have the ability to have their capabilities, whatever they are, amplified. And their deficiencies, whatever they are, maybe lessened, right? And so I think that that plays very well for the broadest talent market in the world, which is the global south. And so there are lots and lots of people who are largely either underutilized or have the capability of doing more, and those people will be able to do even more and get access to global south and global north markets both as a result of the advances in both AI and agentic AI. So I think that plays well for global south markets and for entrepreneurs who are there to connect the dots, right? To take these humans, help them work alongside with, amplified by AI, and have them participate in a global economy.
And that cues my next question nicely, Will. Can emerging markets afford the money that's required to make us AI ready at a global level?
When the DeepSeek revolution, if you want to call it that, it was exposed to the world, and simply put, for those who've not been following it, in a day-to-day basis, what the group in China did was to make a model available on an open source basis that was innovative and could be trained at a dramatically lower cost and could be operated at also dramatically lower cost. That's one big thing that's happened. And that has many implications. We'll get to that in a second. The other thing that's happening that has not rolled out quite as far yet, but is in process, is what we call edge AI. And that means you're able to run AI inferencing, meaning using the model, on incredibly low cost devices. And in fact, just today, Microsoft Research, I think it was a research group, announced a very low cost AI model that runs on a regular CPU, not requiring any GPU capability at all. And so as you see and they won't be the first to do this, right? Many are working in this space. It's an arms race as well. But as AI models move from the domain of big hyperscale data centers out to your PC, your phone, your router, your light switch. I'm not kidding. I mean, literally, that's where it's going to go. Okay, you're going to be able to have capabilities spread throughout everything that you do that are previously were thought to have to sit in data centers. Now they can be moved out to the edge. So now the capability of what can run in your phone or on your light switch is going to be a lot less than what can run in a giant data center, but it's still very capable. So that's what I think what's happened then is that's going to democratize the ability of all economies to embrace AI more broadly. And that's something that I think even 6 months ago, many were very concerned, saying, hey, only the most richest economies of the world can have the most expensive data centers to run these most amazing models. And now those things are all pushing out to the edge, or they're pushing out to low-cost models that can run on low-cost computing.
Well, I recently, just this morning, read an article that shouted out that Microsoft is reducing its expenditure on data centers. From everything we've spoken about today, what does that really mean? How does that play out? What are the implications of that?
So while I did spend many years there, it's been 15 years since I left, so I have no inside information to be clear, other than to know that I don't. But I know that Satya and his team were very smart when I worked with them, and I'm pretty sure they're still equally smart now. And I do think that one of the interesting points that was pointed out in this article was that while Silicon Valley is still pouring billions into hyperscaling, Microsoft is pulling back. And so you got to say, why is that? Is it because they don't have the money? I don't think so. They got plenty of money, right? Is it because they're not smart? No, I'm pretty sure that's not the problem either. I think they know a little bit about where the world's going and are being a bit more careful about the fact that we talked a few minutes ago about edge computing and edge AI. And if you think about DeepSeek and the fact that it is democratizing and enabling AI to be trained without the kind of expense that's been used in the past. You also, if you look up the competition among the foundation models, is seeing that on the order of 30% of the winning models on the big competitive, so chatbot competitive sites are saying they're now not made in the U.S. And that in some places actually even more than 30%. So what Microsoft is saying is, hey, the world, this is happening world over, that it's no longer as expensive, and even the inferencing is going to go out to the edge. So maybe we need to slow down a little bit. And only 6 months ago, he and Sundar at Google were both saying, oh, there's a much higher risk of underinvesting than overinvesting. And then just a few months later, he's saying, let's slow down and pull back a bit. So I do think that this is smart money. This is very smart money, and it's telling us something that's actually very, very relevant for the global South, which is, hey, these big data center expenses are not as important as you thought they were. While Microsoft is still spending $80 billion US this year, not chump change, but they're spending way less than what was planned before. So I do think that this is a leading indicator for all founders to be thinking about, hey, I don't necessarily need to be thinking about so much money in training and inferencing because it's getting so much cheaper. So I now need to make sure I'm able to make use of these massively lower cost training, lower cost inferencing solutions that are going to enable me to innovate without spending the kind of money that was required just even months ago.
My final question is really around our latest investment, Magma. And while I would like you to talk about what AI means for a company like Magma, I do want to spend a moment on really talking about Magma and how it aligns with our own thesis and what India is about. The India story really, everybody's talking about the China plus one, and that's really going to play out in manufacturing. But the question as we talk about these stories is, are our factories ready? Are we ready to compete globally? And are we ready to be the China plus one? And Magma seems so rightly positioned. It comes in and it asks the key questions. Our factories can be there, but they're not necessarily there. And what are the integrated solutions they need to get them there, from the input of how do you get them started to where they are players with their solutions? And how can AI help a company like Magma?
Let me start by saying that we're super proud to have led the Series A investment in Magma, and Neil is an amazing founder, and what he's doing to help connect the needs of small and medium manufacturing operations with all the supply chain that they need to be capable of operating well. The things he's doing to make that work are phenomenal. India is not different than any of the other markets that are starting to benefit from the China plus one. And Magma is solving one piece of this that's super important, which is the specialty chemicals and energy inputs to SME manufacturers in India. And it's fast growing. It's a super innovative. Neil comes from a background where he's sort of grew up with this in his blood, so he understands this super well. And he's really shown that he's got product market fit, and he's helping these manufacturers become more cost effective, get access to the things they need to be able to make products more quickly, more cost effectively, and so on. And I think that if you think about competing with China for any manufacturer, these supply chains have been there in China for years, if not decades, right? And every other country in the world that's trying to catch up is going to have to be saying, hey, how do I replicate what China has? And so that's part of what Magma is doing. Coming back to the AI side, I think I've had conversations with Neil about this. They haven't done it yet, but I think the opportunities for AI are really quite phenomenal here. And one of the simplest thing is, if you look in the world of just small and medium manufacturing and procurement, there's a lot of paperwork that goes back and forth, right? There's purchase orders, there's delivery orders, there's And these things get mostly handled by humans, and they're messy, right? They're not necessarily they're not in some online digital form, push button, click, 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 it's all neat, right? They're messy things because it's in the world of manufacturing and small businesses in rural India, or rural anywhere, frankly, but in this case, India. And so the ability of AI to help you take those various forms of payment information, of shipment information, of bills of lading, whatever they are, quickly translate them from analog to digital form, or from a free form digital into a structured digital. AI is great at that. It's been proven to be great at that. So I think there's a great opportunity to make the Magma managed marketplace more efficient through AI very quickly. There's then a whole lot of other interesting things you can do around the more traditional model of view of around modeling of, AI can look at delivery of energy and think about, okay, well, energy costs go up seasonally. Energy costs go up based on, go up or down based on fluctuations in world events. Well, using AI to track those things and to help them optimize and to make sure that the companies they have get access to the increasingly green energy that they want. That's an area where AI can help and just make it more cost effective. The list goes on, and I'm super excited that we can be helping to add value to Neil and his team as they take what they're already doing so well and make it even better using AI.
Clearly, the future is exciting. I enjoyed our conversation, Will, and I can't wait to continue as we connect and watch the space. Thank you.
Thank you. Good chat.